Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
People don't like to talk about funerals. And there's always a reason, because we know that associated with that is death. But nowadays, I think people are more prone to want to control what the death is like and where they are afterwards. So I was very happy to have this very, very experienced, very charming man, and his name is Mark BEYO, B-E-Y-O, and he is he's one of the executives there at Eternal Light Memorial Gardens and Beth Israel Memorial Chapel. So, Mark, when you first decided you were going to work somewhere,
right?
What did you think that you were going to be getting into?
Actually, when I started this career a little over 30 years ago,
That's hard to believe when I look at you.
Yeah, well, I was a little kid.
I was going to say you were a kid.
But I made mention to my family it was going to be a part-time job till I found a real job. So I just moved to Florida, and then the firm that hired me, I dug roots into it, and I grew to a huge passion of helping other families, make their arrangements in advance, and seeing the end result of that as I stayed with it longer. So 30 years later, here I am.
But you've seen a lot, and it's not when they first come in, it's when an event happens.
Correct.
And then they're so happy that they worked with you and that they had it the way that they wanted. Not, I have to say this, that I have been to some funerals where no one did anything, and at the last minute, everything gets just put on, and there are a lot of families fighting. They didn't want that, they didn't want this. So that's what you avoid, don't you? Why don't you tell us about why you like this and what people should do?
Well, of course, we can't remove the end result, that being death. I mean, we wish we had a program for that. But all the business and the major decisions that go with that must be done. I mean, somebody's going to make those decisions either on your behalf or you're going to do them for yourself or your family's behalf. It's a night and day difference when a family comes in after making just one phone call in the middle of the night, and then everything begins to take place very seamlessly. We orchestrate between the funeral homes and the cemetery. We arrange the times according to the family's desire, versus the other family that comes in just unprotected. They've never had more than 2 or 3 conversations about this, so they never move forward to go to a reputable firm to get information on how to pre-plan and how to prepay at today's cost and save the monetary means to their family. And it's a 4, 5, 6 hour process where the family members now are together. Everybody has their own idea what to do for dad or mom, if that's the case. They all love them very much, but they don't have the same favorite color. They don't enjoy the same favorite meal, and the same comes to play here. Now only in a very emotional moment, a crisis almost, if you will, where the family needs to come together and agree on singular answers, versus having different opinions. So it's very, very difficult in that setting compared to pre-planning your own and making all that go away.
I wish I had known you when my mother and her sisters were planning, and my mother lived to be 94, her sister 95, and they wanted me involved. And the first thing I said, because I was a much younger person, is, I don't want to talk about death. What do you want? Well, I want to go and prepare. I want to see the casket. Well, that was hard on me. But once I went there, I realized how important it was to my mother. And then at the end, it was all taken care of. I didn't have to think about that. Right. That's really what I get from this, Mark.
Right. Yeah, you spend your time with family, versus funeral directors and other associates trying to make last-minute decisions. You have time to arrange for travel arrangements for your immediate family to come in. The things that you should be doing, the people you should be spending time with, versus spending time doing business with strangers that you know nothing about, and you know nothing about the topic. You don't know how much is too much, how much is too little, what are the other people doing. None of those decisions give you very much time to sort through, because we need decisions that very day when it's left undone like that.
Now, what's happened with cremation compared now to burial? It's all confusion for me now.
Cremation is becoming a conversation point every day. So when families ask me, are more families being cremated? The truth is more families are talking about it, but the end result, when they start to sort out what decisions are best for them traditionally, so that there's no regret. Nobody wants to redo a pre-planned funeral by making the wrong decisions 10 or 15 years ago. So typically it's still traditional burials, and traditional means are being decided upon families versus cremation.
And then do you find the burial plot for them too? Is this?
We do.
Tell us what the whole package
Yeah,
is.
the whole package would, at Eternal Light and Beth Israel, unlike other firms who make pre-arrangements for families, we package everything so that there's no financial surprises when the family calls us in need, be it 15 or 20 years down the road. A lot of different places will sell, as families would call them, just the plots first, and then these people own these plots for a number of years, and the family remembers that they made arrangements of some sort at a firm, so they'll call them at time of death, only to realize that only a very small percentage of decisions were taken care of, and there's still a huge financial mountain to overcome because they have to make the rest of the decisions.
So they bought a plot, but they didn't buy anything else with it, right?
Right. Or they bought a plot and a marker, but there's still opening closings and the burial vault that goes in there. So when we provide a package for a family, it's packaged so that basically there's two entities: the cemetery decisions and the funeral home decisions. And we sort it so that when a family makes a decision on where in the cemetery they prefer, we package everything in so that when they make their phone call on that very difficult day, there's not any financial surprises. We cover down to the last details of accumulating death certificates for the family, the rabbi's gratuities, everything that would be unthought of is thought of and taken care of. So if anything were to change, being at the time of death, say a family just outlives a lot of their family members, longevity here in Southeast Florida, it's pretty prominent, then certain line items would have to be refunded to the family. We can't keep anything in a funeral home that we haven't serviced.
Well, that brings up a good point. So let's say now someone's in their 50s and they plan their funeral, and they put the money down.
Right.
What happens to the money?
The money, most of it goes into trust. So it's a moot point to us whether a family in discussing price, they'll sometimes ask for a little bit more in favor if they pay cash in full or if they take a payment plan out, which we don't charge any finance charges or interest. It's the same as cash. It's a moot point to us because most of the money has to be held in trust until something happens to that family member. So they're protected.
Right. And do you also, so let's say someone wants to
Help the vets.
That's terrific. So let me just tell everybody, I'm talking with Mark BEYO, and Mark is an executive with the Eternal Light Memorial Gardens and Beth Israel Memorial Chapel. So you actually, let me give a phone number too. It's 561-737-7411. Remember, this is Pencil Talk Radio. Get your pencils out so that you know what you're doing. It'd be very nice to call and get a chance to talk to Mark. He is so nice. And even if you don't plan on doing it right now, just know what your options are.
Absolutely.
That's why he's here giving this radio show to you. It's 561-737-7411. So what is it? What's the chapel? Why is that part of the name?
The chapel, it just goes in sync with how the building was named. It was named before we bought it, Beth Israel Chapel versus Beth Israel Funeral Home, if you will. So it kind of takes the coldness out of it. It has a very large chapel inside. We're known for the chapel and the facilities within that building. But it's still, when we talk a funeral home, that's the firm that will, or that's the side of the fence that will take care of the deceased at the time of death occurs. So when we get a call at 3 o'clock in the morning, per se, then it's Beth Israel who will respond to that, with a staff member who's on call 24/7. They rotate through that process so that we can help that family immediately. And then the body transported to the funeral home in preparation and casketing, and then they orchestrate with the cemetery as far as times of service by choice of family. So the family only has to make the one phone call.
Wow, that's so important. And then you'll help with, I know when my husband passed away, you have to have all sorts of documents. So you take care of that as part of everything, isn't
Correct.
it? That the person just goes to the funeral and you're doing the aftermath and everything.
Yeah, there's maybe a couple of simple signatures needed at that time to just finalize agreement on dates and times of service and the authorization for us to bring the family member into our care, and that's it. There's no other, we don't spend more than 10 or 15 minutes with them at that time compared to hours.
But then you also have the situation of putting the notice out, maybe up north, wherever they want it to go, right? There's a lot of things there that have to be taken care of.
Yeah, we do that also with websites too, because everything's done through technology today. So technical obits is more popular than doing in the newspaper because not many people are picking up the paper
right.
anymore. So
That's a good point.
yeah, so we put all that postings on our website, so people, when they Google our website, they can look for a family member or a friend and see times of service. They can see the obituary. They can see a little history of the family, or if any preferred donations are to be made to the family, that'll depict that there.
You must have a lot of employees to take care of all this.
We do.
You do a lot of things.
Over 50 employees to take care
No
of everything.
kidding.
From the grounds to the transportation to serving families. In fact, nobody has more staff members in ratio to families served than we do, and we just refuse to peel back from that.
I think that's absolutely wonderful, because now you really are it's not a business with you. It's really like it's like a function, something that, it's a celebration.
Yeah,
it's important, and you just one little thing that doesn't work right could just tear up the hearts of some of these people, can it?
So true. There's no take two. There's no redos for us. So
No.
we make sure we carefully personalize each and every service for every family.
Right. And so if someone wants to get on your website, it's eternallightmemorialgardens.com.
Correct.
Right? And then there's a / BethIsraelChapel.com.
Correct.
Well, this is a wonderful thing. I know you're going to be at the Boomer Expo, and we're so glad you're going to be there. And we hope that for people now who are listening, you come there. Hopefully Mark's going to be there himself, because he's very nice and you'll like to meet him. But they have a lot of very good people, and you'll want to sit and just talk with them. And, and maybe then after you talk with them, you'll go to the chapel, or to
Right.
to your building
Right.
there on, as you said, it's over there on right off.
Jog and Woolbright.
Yeah,
and then
right
we have
off.
a chapel on Atlantic and Delray.
Oh, I
Just
see.
east of Jog.
Oh,
So we have two
okay.
chapels
Yeah, I thought I
and
have
one
seen that.
cemetery.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I
Yeah.
understand why there are two of them.
Right.
And do you provide the rabbi, or are
We
there
do.
people who
Yeah.
are going there who aren't necessarily Jewish?
No, everybody has to be Jewish. We do have interfaith marriages,
Okay.
but it has to be a Jewish household. I mean, it's a Jewish cemetery.
But somebody who doesn't have to be a Jewish, but just as they're part of a
They
family.
have to be married, into that family.
That's very
It's,
interesting.
it's
So where your land is all for Jewish people.
correct. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
It's
know
the
that
closest
either.
place next to Israel to
Right.
have a Jewish parent.
That's true. That's really interesting. And usually you don't see a lot of flowers at Jewish funerals.
No, you don't. Traditionally, they place a stone, or they don't bring flowers for the grave sites. But I'll tell you what, the last few years we've seen a shift. Where there's some families we're seeing flowers shipped to the cemetery for graveside services.
Yeah.
And we're not going to prevent or stop.
And nothing's
that.
wrong with that.
It's not.
It
for
just
us
was a
to
tradition
stop them.
before, wasn't it, not
Correct.
to do that?
We feel if it's legal and it's ethical and the family wants to do it, we're a yes, we can company.
Oh, you're so nice. That's just a wonderful attitude. Well, I'm so glad that we're going to be working with you and having you share who you are with all our guests at the Boomer Expo and now on the radio. This will also be on YouTube, and you're now on Facebook Live. And this is someone who, if you look at him, you think that he's probably an executive with Google or something. I mean,
Yeah.
you're to think that this is what you do, you must have great heart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a huge passion for what
Yeah,
we do.
obviously. So it's Mark BEYO, BEYO, and I hope that people will, get in touch with you. At least they know who you are.
Yeah.
And don't wait for the last moment, because it's frightening.
Right, and don't be in fear of the conversation, because most of our family clients who visit with us, we know they're not prepared to make a decision that day. We're there just to help educate them, tour the grounds, and we know that they're going to leave us and have a discussion privately and then reach back out to us.
But
So,
what
no
I hope
pressure.
you tell them is the difference if they do it with you now compared
Oh,
to,
absolutely.
it could be probably 50% more, couldn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. We asked a family client. I always ask family clients when they make decisions with us what was the most important reason as to why. And most common reason we hear is they don't want their kids to have to deal with this,
Right,
and their
right.
surviving
That's
spouse.
right.
They don't want them
Yep.
to do it. But this one gentleman said, I didn't want to bury our children in debt by burying ourselves.
Oh, that
That
was
was his
well
biggest
said.
reason.
We'll end the show with that. So, Mark, thank you very much for coming in, and we'll see you at
You're
the expo.
welcome. Happy New Year to you, and thank you for the invite.
Yes.